So glad you're streaming with us today. Well, President Joe Biden today is calling the Ukrainian takeover of Kherson a, quote, significant victory, but says it's hard to tell what it means for the overall war. During his remarks he gave at the G20 summit in Bali, Biden reaffirms America's commitment to continue providing Ukraine with capabilities to defend themselves from Russia.
And for more on this, let's bring in ABC News foreign correspondent Tom Soufi Burridge live again from Kyiv, Ukraine. He's been there so often for us. Tom, we've just had confirmation, as I know you know as well, there's another high-level contact between the U.S. and Russia. That's really important for Ukraine. Are they trying to cut a backroom deal or what? But first, bring us up to date on Kherson, that major Ukrainian city in the south, liberated in this remarkable victory by Ukrainian armed forces. What are the challenges there right now? What's the mood there about this?
Well, Terry, again, euphoria today. President Zelensky, incredibly, just a matter of days after Ukrainian troops got into that city, he's on the ground in the central square, posing with the soldiers, singing the national anthem. But away from that kind of mood of celebration, there are real challenges in the city of Kherson right now. It's a city with a pre-war population of close to 300,000 people. When the Russians retreated, they cut off the water, they destroyed communication towers. There's a lack of basic food in the supermarkets. There are bare shelves in many of the stores we're seeing. And of course, now we are seeing, sadly, but predictably, when there's a Russian retreat, again, evidence of war crimes. President Zelensky saying there is evidence of about 400 possible war crimes in the Kherson region right now. And of course, the Ukrainians are demining a vast area too, really trying to secure that area, which, remember, it is now effectively right on the front line in the south in this war.
And, amazing images that we've been looking at, Tom, Zelensky on the ground in the center of Kherson there, which is effectively now on the new front line after Russians retreated in the south. So Zelensky asked the question, is this the beginning of the end of the war in Ukraine? What do you think? What does this all tell us about the war going forward?
Well, I mean, it's a good question. And I think what we can really read into what Zelensky said today, there's two things I think I'd like to highlight. First of all, he said, we do not believe Russia. And that is effectively Zelensky underlining the fact that Ukrainians have no trust in the Kremlin. The Kremlin under Vladimir Putin has been trying to destroy Ukraine for years. Of course, we've had the full-scale invasion in February. We've seen what Russian troops are capable of on the ground. And I think the other critical thing that he also said today is we are ready for peace. Now, that seems again to be Zelensky underlining that he's moved away from a position he had a few weeks ago of saying, I'll never talk to Putin. And we believe sort of nudged in a new direction by US officials to a new position of we are open to the concept of peace talks with a massive caveat. And the caveat he outlined again today was that with all our land were his words. And that again is the Ukrainians saying we're not ready to cede any territory to Russia right now. And I think if you step back from this a little bit, you basically then look at the fact that Ukraine is winning this war, and we're still now seeing more evidence on other fronts away from Kherson, further north, up in the northern bit of the Donbass in an area called Luhansk. The Ukrainians in the last 24 hours saying they've taken several settlements in that area, small bits of territory, but they're making again more progress. And the Ukrainians' overall belief right now is they have to beat Vladimir Putin even more before they really get to a stage of meaningful talks.
Well, on that subject of talks, as I said, we know now that the head of the CIA, William Burns, is in the Turkish capital of Ankara, meeting Putin's spy chief there. Supposedly they're going to talk about the consequences for Russia of any use of nuclear weapons. But this subject of talks might come up again. It sounds like the Ukrainians are not in the mood, and they've got a series of victories now over Russia. But what are you hearing about that meeting and about what a longer war could mean, especially with Republican control of the purse strings in the House of Representatives looking likely?
Well, this is a fascinating revelation, Terry. We first learnt about it actually from a pro-Kremlin Russian newspaper telling us that this meeting between William Burns, the director of the CIA, and his Russian counterpart is taking place in the Turkish capital, Ankara, today. The White House then confirming the meeting is taking place, stressing that this meeting is not about kind of negotiating or banging out some kind of deal between Russia and the US over Ukraine, but actually is focused on dialing down the nuclear rhetoric and also addressing those US nationals that are wrongly detained in Russia, namely Brittany Griner, the WNBA superstar, and of course Paul Whelan, the other American too. But yeah, I mean, look, the Ukrainians are also aware of the midterms, but they are confident that US support, bipartisan US support, remains firm. And that's really their position right now.
Hey, especially with such a narrow majority, it looks like the Republicans might have. Some of those Republicans do support arming Ukraine, supporting Ukraine. Tom, as always, thanks very much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.